बोले श्री गजानन स्वामी की जय. I welcome you devotees to our second night of devotions during this auspicious Ganesh Utsav period. By this time you would have completed your Ganesh Puja, and from now 6 o'clock to 7:30 we will join together in the glorification of Gajanan Swami through the medium of bhajan kirtan and also some brief messages in between. So we begin, as we traditionally do, by concentrating on the trio of Gajanan Swami, Devi Ma, Bhagwan Shankar. ॐ महागणपति नमोस्तुते मातङ्गामुख नमोस्तुते ॐ महागणपति नमोस्तुते
महागणपति नमोस्तुते
ॐ महागणपते नमोस्तुते।
ॐ महागणपते नमोस्तुते।
मातङ्गामुख नमोस्तुते।
मातङ्गामुख नमोस्तुते।
मातङ्गामुख नमोस्तुते।
मातङ्गामुख नमोस्तुते।
ॐ महागणपते नमोस्तुते।
ॐ महागणपते नमोस्तुते।
ॐ महागणपते नमोस्तुते।
ॐ महागणपते नमोस्तुते।
शिवगिरिजासुत नमोस्तुते।
शिवगिरिजासुत नमोस्तुते।
शिवगिरिजासुत नमोस्तुते।
शिवगिरिजासुत नमोस्तुते।
ओंकारीश्वर नमोस्तुते।
ओंकारेश्वर नमोस्तुते।
ओंकारीश्वर नमोस्तुते।
ओंकारेश्वर नमोस्तुते।
ॐ महागणपते नमोस्तुते। मातङ्गामुख नमोस्तुते।
मातङ्गामुख नमोस्तुते।
मातङ्गामुख नमोस्तुते।
मातङ्गामुख नमोस्तुते।
ॐ महागणपते नमोस्तुते। ॐ महागणपते नमोस्तुते। शिवगिरिजासुत नमोस्तुते।
शिवगिरिजासुत नमोस्तुते।
हे शिवगिरिजासुत नमोस्तुते।
शिवगिरिजासुत नमोस्तुते।
शिवगिरिजासुत नमोस्तुते।
शिवगिरिजासुत नमोस्तुते।
ओंकारीश्वर नमोस्तुते। ओंकारीश्वर नमोस्तुते। ॐ महागणपते नमोस्तुते। ॐ महागणपते नमोस्तुते। ॐ महागणपते नमोस्तुते। ॐ जय 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 गणपति देवा। जय 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 गणपति देवा। गजानना हे गजानना। गजानना हे गजानना। गजानना हे गणपति देवा, हो गजानना हे गणपति देवा, ओम जय 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 गणपति देवा, जय 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 गणपति देवा, माता पार्वती पिता महादेवा, माता पार्वती पिता महादेवा, गजानना 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 हे गणपति देवा, हो गजानना हे गणपति देवा, ओम जय 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 गणपति देवा, जय 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 गणपति देवा, ओ गणपति देवा, गणपति देवा, गणपति देवा। बोल श्री गजानन स्वामी की। We now concentrate on the Divine Mother, the Supreme Energy, Devi Ma.
माँ तेरी ममता कितनी प्यारी, कितना प्यार जगाती है, कितना प्यार जगाती है। माँ तेरी ममता कितनी प्यारी, कितना प्यार जगाती है, कितना प्यार जगाती है। श्वास श्वास की रक्षा करती, श्वास श्वास की रक्षा करती, पग पग प्राण बचाती है, कितना प्यार जगाती है। माँ तेरी ममता कितनी प्यारी, कितना प्यार जगाती है, कितना प्यार जगाती है। कितना प्यार जगाती है।
बोले श्री आदिशक्ति दुर्गा माता की जय। We now focus our attention on Bhagwan Shankar. देव देवोत्तम दीन सुरक्षक देवाधिदेवा दयामया श्री महादेव कृपामया श्री महादेव दयामया देव देवोत्तम दीन सुरक्षक
देव देवोत्तम दीन सुरक्षक
देव देवोत्तम दीन सुरक्षक
देव देवोत्तम दीन सुरक्षक
देवाधिदेवा दयामया
देवादिदेवा दयामया
देवाधिदेवा दयामया
देवादिदेवा दयामया
श्री महादेव कृपामया
श्री महादेव कृपामया
श्री महादेव दयामया
श्री महादेव दयामया
पतित उद्धारा पाप विदूरा
पतित उद्धारा पाप विधूरा
पतित उद्धारा पाप विदूरा
पतित उद्धारा पाप विधूरा
कैलाश विहारा परमेश्वरा
कैलाश विहारा परमेश्वरा
कैलाश विहारा परमेश्वरा
कैलाश विहारा परमेश्वरा
भस्म भव तव भव भयनाशक
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 श्री महादेव कृपामया
श्री महादेव कृपामया
श्री महादेव दयामया
श्री महादेवा दयामया
देव देवोत्तम दीन सुरक्षक
देव देवोत्तम दीन सुरक्षक
देव देवोत्तम दीन सुरक्षक
देव देवोत्तम दीन सुरक्षक
देवाधिदेव दयामया
देवादिदेवा दयामया
देवाधिदेव दयामया
देवादिदेवा दयामया
श्री महादेव कृपामया
श्री महादेवा कृपामया
श्री महादेव दयामया
श्री महादेवा दयामया
पतित उद्धारा पाप विदूरा
पतित उद्धारा पाप विदूरा
पतित उद्धारा पाप विदूरा
पतित उद्धारा पाप विदूरा
कैलाश विहारा परमेश्वरा
कैलाश विहारा परमेश्वरा
कैलाश विहारा परमेश्वरा
कैलाश विहारा परमेश्वरा
भस्म भव तव भव भयनाशक
भस्म भव तव भव त्रैनाशक
भस्म भव तव भव भयनाशक
भस्म भव तव भव त्रैनाशक
श्री महादेव कृपामया श्री महादेव कृपामया श्री महादेव दयामया श्री महादेव दयामया देव देवोत्तम दीन सुरक्षक देव देवोत्तम दीन सुरक्षक देवाधिदेव दयामया देवाधिदेव दयामया श्री महादेव कृपामया श्री महादेव कृपामया श्री महादेव दयामया श्री महादेव दयामया देव देवोत्तम दीन सुरक्षक बोल श्री उमापति महादेव की। Devotees, as we go through the Ganesh Utsav period and we conduct our devotions, every day we will just contemplate one relevant principle, something that we can take and apply to ourselves. Today, let us focus just on the name Ganesh and what it means. If you recall, as I've explained before, the Sanskrit language is unique in that when a name is given to something or to someone, that name is not just a name. Within that name, is encoded a property of that object. For example, the word for water would be jalam, and a whole host of others. But the thing is that each word is not just a synonym, just another way of calling. Each word represents a different property of that object. So for example, in water, one word in Sanskrit may mean for the water to flow. Another word may mean colorless. Another word may mean odorless. And so all of these names in Sanskrit give you a picture as to the qualities, the essential property of that thing being named. Now this is important to understand because every name of the divine represents a certain quality or property of that supreme self. There is only one. But that one self is so vast in its power, in its nature, that we have to use so many different symbols, so many different names to try to describe it. Yet after all of that, it still ends up being indescribable. Now, we are focusing on Ganesh. And what does the name Ganesh mean? Ganesh is made up of Gana and Isha. Gana in Sanskrit means a group or a category. Okay? It means a group or a category of something. And Isha means Lord or Lord of. So Ganesh means the Lord of all categories. What do I mean by category? Everything in this world, as you perceive it, you give it some name, you assign it to a category. We have living things, non-living things. Within non-living things, you have all sorts of objects, you give it names. A house, right? A car, whatever it may be, whatever object, in your mind, you think of it as belonging to a category of objects, of houses, of cars. The same goes for people. So you have human beings, other animals, and when you hear a name, for example, you hear turtle, in your mind, you think of the category of turtles with a specific turtle in mind. We have a turtle, a pet turtle at home, so I like to use the turtle example. So this is how we think. So Ganapati means the Lord of all categories. So if you had to put this together and try to understand what the name is trying to say, what would you deduce? In one sense, the Lord of all categories means that Ganesh, that one self, is the origin, the source of everything. One supreme of everything. That Ganesh is called the supreme light. And, I would like to remind everyone that when you say you see a form of God, that's fine. But at the highest level, that supreme self is everywhere. And in a sense, it cannot see itself. Now, this is difficult to explain because it is a perceptual thing. If you use yourself as an example, do you know that you have never seen your own face? You have never physically seen your own face. You've seen the reflection of your face, but you have never seen your own face. So you look in a mirror, you see what you're looking like. Some people like what you see, some people not so much. You look in a pond of water, you see a reflection. But there is no way that you could directly perceive your own face unless you pull your eyes out of your head and turn them to face your face. Isn't it? So this is what we mean, that supreme self as awareness, consciousness everywhere. There is a difference between awareness and consciousness, but I'll explain that in a little bit maybe. We're keeping it simple. This awareness everywhere is Ganesh and is the source. Everything arises from that Ganesh. What do we mean by that? Do you grow yourself? We say we plant garden and we grow the plants. Do you really grow it, or you just put the conditions in place for it to grow? There is a supreme power that takes care of everything. As I mentioned last night, you think you're in control, but you're not in control. That supreme power is in control, aka the will of the Lord, as we say. It causes the trees to grow, planets to turn, people to behave how they behave, things to start up, and also things to come to an end. Everything depends on that one indivisible, supreme power, the Lord of all categories, known as Ganesh. Ganesh is also called Ganapati, which means the same thing. Gana, categories. Pati means the Lord of categories. Okay? Now, we say that Ganesh represents right vision, or the word discrimination is used. I'm going to use right vision because I think the children could understand it. And also the word discrimination has some negative connotations. So let's say right vision, for simplicity's sake. Now, at the highest level, what I just mentioned, our goal is not to just say, yes, Ganesh is the Lord of all categories, but to know, to directly perceive or experience that Ganesh as being the source of everything. How? How? The only way that could happen, there is a saying in our scriptures that as the mind, so the man. And what happens is that your thoughts, your mind, whatever is going through your head is covering up your true nature, your true self, which is this awareness that underlies everything, this Ganesh. So the strategy is, the overall strategy is to overcome, or dare I say, to kill this mind. When that mind is removed, then whatever is already there, indivisible, in you, as your awareness, remains. And that is Ganesh. Now, this is difficult for people to grasp because it is not something you can think about. Nobody could think about God. You can only be God. You have to know it is an experience. So, we have to be aware of the world and the categories and look or see deeper to try to realize what is underlying everything, the underlying issue, the core. Now, let me give you an example of how we think in categories. Imagine a little girl has a knock on the door. She goes to the door and opens it, and she sees a strange-looking man. In her mind, she says, "Oh, look, it's a stranger." And she becomes afraid. So she has this reaction. A few moments later, her mother comes and says to the girl, "Don't be afraid, my child. This is your long-lost father. He is your biological father. He's been away at war. And he's come back. You don't remember him." And so in the mind of this girl, she switches from stranger to father. And her feelings and thoughts immediately change. This simple example shows how we tend to think. Based on your perception of what something is, so you think and so you behave. And you see how easy it is to switch? Just, by a quick change, by a little information, you've gone from becoming afraid of a stranger, in the case of this little girl, to thinking, "Oh, this is my daddy," run and hug up and whatnot. Okay? And you see this all the time. And the reason I'm pointing out, devotees, is that this is an underlying advantage that we have as human beings, but is also a disadvantage. How many times there's a function, and some VIP person would come to the door. Nobody would know who the person is, and the usher would say, "Yeah, go sit down right in, go sit down in the back." And then the VIP will say, "You don't know who I am? I am so and so, XYZ. And then the reaction of the usher will change. "Oh, please come in front and sit." It's the same person, isn't it? But the category that you place them in, your perception, influences your behavior. Now, this influences everything we do, as I said, and it's something to be aware of. The reason I'm mentioning this is because the inner meaning of this name of Ganesh is you have to be aware of this categorical thinking and what it does to you. In a more mundane sense, this is what's known as groupthink or group thinking. What is that? A whole category or group of people think a certain way, and so you think that way too. In other words, you don't use the power of your own reasoning, your own intellect, you just go with the crowd. Classic example, politics. I hold no brief for any political party, but this is what happens. You have people aggregated into groups, into categories, and this is what's called groupthink or the bandwagon effect. Everybody thinks a certain way, so you jump on the bandwagon and think the same way too. And what happens, it causes you to behave in a certain way. And in the worst case, what happens is that people can manipulate you. So this name of Ganesh is just not simple Ganesh, Ganesh. It is telling us that we need to have this right vision to look deeper than the surface, always. We need to ask ourselves, how am I thinking about this situation? What categories am I putting people into? Okay? And so, this lesson of Ganesh is critically important as we begin to look at the world, the starting point, and try to not be fooled in the first instance. Okay? So, this lesson is the lesson of the name of Ganesh. Now, to wrap up this idea, just let me explain the difference between awareness and consciousness. You as an individual, when you wake up, you say you are aware. When you go to sleep, or in deep sleep maybe, you say you are relatively unconscious. Okay? Now, I make the distinction between awareness and consciousness like this. Awareness is equal to consciousness plus an object. Let me rephrase that. Consciousness is awareness plus an object. That's the right order. Consciousness is awareness plus an object. This means that awareness is not something that comes and goes, but this awareness we speak about as Ganesh is always here, everywhere. But when that awareness, you become aware of something, then we say you become conscious of an object. Okay? Now, the scriptures tell us that we are in the body of the Lord. We are in the body of Ganesh. The example is used, we are all like fish swimming in water. That means that physically and spiritually, we are all in one supreme light of awareness. That light of awareness is the base of everything. People can't understand this, so therefore we have the different forms of God. Okay? And people could relate to that. But at the highest level, Ganesh really is a supreme awareness everywhere. So the trick then is, are you aware of being aware? That's the trick. Are you aware of being aware? The sages who have wisdom, they are aware of being aware. But you and I are just aware of people, aware of things, aware of what we want, but we are not aware of awareness itself. So to bring this point home and to make it clear, let's focus on this wonderful bhajan by Kabir and listen to the advice, as we are all fish swimming in the sea of awareness. We all seem to be thirsty, but yet still the water is all around us. Does it make any sense? Let us listen to Kabir. मीन पियासी रे पानी में मीन पियासी रे पानी में मीन पियासी रे पानी में मीन पियासी रे मोहे सुन सुन आवे आसे रे मोहे सुन सुन आवे आसे रे पानी में मीन पियासी रे पानी में घर में वस्तु नजर नहीं आवत घर में वस्तु नजर नहीं आवत बन बन फिरत उदासी रे बन बन फिरत उदासी रे पानी में मीन पियासी रे पानी में. Kabir is saying, devotees, pani mein meen piyasi re. The fish is in water, but it is very thirsty, just like you and I, existing in pure awareness, yet thirsting for things of the world. Kabir sees this and Suna Suna Ave Hasi Re. He is intrigued, he finds this quite funny, the way that we all behave. Kabir says, Ghar mein vastu nazar nahi awat. In the life of the householder, in worldly life, you do not find what you're looking for. But neither by going into the forest in seclusion, still you do not find what you're looking for. How difficult is this? Kabir says, Atma Gyan Bina Jag Jhutha. Atma Gyan Bina Jag Jhutha. Kya Mathura Kya Kashi Re. Kya Mathura Kya Kashi Re. Pani mein मीन पियासी रे पानी में. Atma-gyan bina jag jhudha. Without that true experience of your own nature, that awareness, that Ganesh, then what is the true reality of this ever-changing world? Kya Mathura, kya Kashi? These physical places, what do they mean really? They have no real lasting meaning externally, but internally they always exist. Kashi, always residing in the self, in your own awareness, your true nature, that's supreme. Not just thinking devotees, but knowing who you truly are. Kahe Kabir suno bhai sadhu. Kahe Kabir suno bhai sadhu. Ram naam ghat mahe re. Ram naam ghat mahe re. Pani mein मीन पियासी रे पानी में मीन पिया से, मीन पिया से, मीन पिया से रे। कहे कबीर सुनो भय साधु, listen everybody, listen my brothers. Rama Naam Ghat Mahire, that name of the Lord, that experience, that shining, Rama, to shine within. Experience that in your heart of hearts and always be fulfilled, always be peaceful. This, devotees, is what I wanted to share with you, the secret of the name of Sri Ganesh. At this point, I pass over to the Paramacharya ji.
Boli Sri Gajanan Swami ki jai. So devotees, we are focusing on Gajanan Swami, and certain messages have been presented to you, to all of us, so we can get a better understanding as to who Gajanan is, that Supreme Purush, Brahm, as we have been saying. As I continue the journey, I would like you to, let's all visualize Matang Mukh Mahaganapati. Visualize that form. I'm going to perform a stotra to please the Lord, as we say. And then briefly we'll look at a small description of what the Atharva Sri says about him, how he appears. We'll glorify him. But at this point, concentrate and remember last night we spoke of that very powerful mantra, Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Remember that Bij mantra is, if to put it in this way, a very minute form of the Lord. But it's not a physical thing. You can just chant that mantra, Lunum Gam, and that, they said, is sufficient to please the Supreme. But the mantra we all know is Om Ganganapataye Namaha. So chant it in your minds for a few moments. We glorify Gajanan. Choose Stotra. Om Sri Ganeshaya Namaha. Sri Saraswatyaya Namaha. Tat Ganesh Pancharatna Stotram. Om Mudakarat Mudakam Sada Mukti Sadakam Kaladhara Vatansakam Vilasi Lokaranjakam Anayakaika Nayakam Vinashi Tibha Daityakam Natashu Bhashunaswakam Namamitang Vinayakam Nateta Rati Bhikaram Navoditarka Bhaswaram Namatsurari Nirjaram Natadhikapa Uddharam Sureshwaram Nidhishwaram Gajeshwaram Ganeshwaram Maheshwaram Tamasriye Paratparam Nirantaram Samastaloka Shankaram Nirastya Daita Kunjaram Dareta Rudarangvaram Vareva Vaktamaksharam Kripakaram Chamakaram Mudakaram Yashaskaram Manaskaram Namaskritang Namaskarumi Bhasparam Akinchinarti Marjanam Chiranta Nukti Bhajanam Purari Purvanandanam Shuvari Garva Charvanam Prapancha Nasha Bhishanam Dhananjayadi Bhushanam Kapula Dana Varanam Bhaje Purana Varanam Nitanta Kanta Danta Kantim Antakantam Atmajam Achinta Rupam Achintahinam Antaraya Quintanam Hridantare Nirantaram Vasantameva Yoginang Tameka Dantamevatang Vichintayami Santatam Mahaganesha Pancharatna Madarena Yunvaham Pragayati Prabhataki Hridi Smaran Ganeshwaram Arogata Madushatang Susahitim Suputratang Samahitayu Ashtabhutim Abhyupaiti Suchirat Iti Sri Shankar Bhagavata Kritau Sri Ganesh Pancharatna Stuttam Sampurnam Om Shivatanai Varishtam Sarva Kalyana Murting Parshu Dashana Kandhe Shobhitam Mudakena Aruna Kusamamala Byalamamboja Netram Mama Hriday Nivasam Sri Ganesham Namami. Om Ganganapataye Namaha. Holy Sri Gajanan Swami ki jai. Now devotees, we will focus on Gajanan as he is described. Now in today's world, many of us, we have been hearing that, Lord Ganesh, we use orange color for him, orange flowers, whatever have you. Now, If Ganesh Baba is Brahm, as we explained through the Ganesh Atharva Sirish last night, then is that of one color will relate to him? I want to mention to you, and maybe some other night we will look at this. There are different forms of Ganesh, called by different names, different colors, white, yellow, black. Ganesh Baba has different names, different colors. Now, the Ganesh Atharva Sirish has given him a special color. So let's look at what they say here. Ekadantam. We know Ganesh Baba with one dant, one elephant tusk, as we say. Ekadantam. And of course, simply put, an elephant has two tusks. Ganesh Baba has one tusk. And you know the story goes where Swami Kartikeya enraged, he struck Gajanan Swami, his brother, and knocked off one of his tusks. That is his story. But Swami Kartikeya devotees, he symbolizes what we call Shat Sampat. Tranquility of mind, serenity, control of senses, endurance, faith, renunciation of selfish actions and desires. When one develops these 6 qualities as symbolized by Shanmukhanath, Swami Kartikeya, then what happens? The 2 tusks of Lord Ganesh represent duality. And when it is said, Swami Kartikeya knocked out one of the tusks, all it symbolizes to us, when a person reaches to that state of Shanmukhnath, Swami Kartikeya, 6 positive spiritual qualities, one transcends the world of duality. You come to the point of non-duality. So Ganesh Baba having that one tusk symbolizes that. Remember, amongst other things we have been saying, Lord Ganesh represents wisdom, Gyan. Gyan. And the right knowledge. What is the biggest obstacle of all? I have been asking people. You know, if we ask many people, some may have obstacles, financial problems. Some may have health issues. Some may have, relationship issues, etc. All these are problems we say we have. What is the biggest problem of all? What is the biggest obstacle of all? And if you analyze it closely, it is the concept or the acceptance of non-duality. Of duality. Of duality. Where there is subject and object, I and you, we and them. As Sri Ram referred to this as Maya. Okay? This is the biggest obstacle. The day we can get over that ignorance of duality, then what problems are there? You see? So, even all what we are doing here, the objective behind it, the deeper objective, the highest objective I should say, is to help us to get beyond the state of ignorance. Go to the point of Gyan. Knock off that tusk, so to speak. That state of non-duality. Now, while I'm mentioning this, we should also note, according to Vedanta, that there are 5 mental afflictions we all suffer from. 5 mental afflictions. The first is what we call Agyan, ignorance. Then out of that is born Asmita, or what we call ego. And then there is Rag, attachment, Dvesh, aversion, and Abhinivesh, fear of death. What we are told are the last 4 mental afflictions are all evolutes of Agyan, ignorance. In other words, all of our problems are as a result of ignorance. Lord Ganesh is the Lord of Gyan, wisdom as we say. And this is why it's so important and compelling that we worship Gajanan. If you do not have the right understanding, we are told as you begin life's journey, anything you begin, first worship Lord Ganesh. He removes obstacles. How does he remove obstacles, devotees? You see, when we worship, we uncover that power from within, we call Gyan, so that we are able to overcome other afflictions. We are in the light, we go beyond that state of duality. So that this worship of Gajana has to continue. So Ekadant, that one tusk, symbolizes that state of non-duality. As a matter of fact, when we are told to worship Lord Ganesh first, simple little points, elephant head, human body. The Vedas have declared, Yatha Pinde Tatha Brahmande. As in the microcosm, so the macrocosm. The elephant head represents the macrocosm, the whole universe. The man's form, the human form represents microcosm. Both form one unit. Head and body, Gajanan. This is the concept we have to understand. Aham Brahm Asmi. Aham Brahm Asmi. So devotees, these statements are easy to make and we say them ad nauseam. But by continuing the process in life of worshipping, celebrating like Ganesh Jayanti, Ganesh Utsav, all the other festivals that we have, it's wonderful. Social aspect. But if you can understand the deeper part of it, it will help to take us to a higher level of spirituality, discovering ourselves, who we are in reality. So all these symbols we see, they guide us along this pathway to discover ourselves. But we visualizing Gajanan, Ekadantam, Chaturhastam, 4 hands. And there are various reasons when we discuss Bhagwan Shankar, Shivrashtra, we explain 4 hands and so on. I'm not going to deal with too much symbolism. But he has 4 hands. Chaturhastam, Pash Ankush Dharanam. And there is a noose, as we call it, right? And there is, Pash Ankush Dharanam. One hand, he holds a noose, and the upper hand, he holds a whip. All this has symbolic meaning. And you have 2 other hands. One hand there is a modak. Now, modak is not laddu. But in Trinidad, we use a lot modak, laddu to symbolize modak. All this again is symbolic. And another hand, the fingers put together, passing blessings, so to speak, on his devotees. So, you visualize Gajanan like this. Ekadantam chaturhastam pash ankusha dharanam radang cha varadang hastay vibhranam mushak dhvajam raktam lambodaram shurpa karnakam raktavasasam. What is his color? Rakta, red. Red. So, I am not saying that you can't use your orange color, whatever color you have. As I said when I started, you have different colors for Lord Ganesh. Even white, black, yellow, haridra, different colors. But here the Ganesha, 3rd verse, is saying, Raktam, Rakta, red in color. Raktam, Lambodaram, Shurpa, Karnakam, Raktavasasam. He has large airs, like winnowing fans. Alright? Winnowing fans. He's pot-bellied, Lambodar. Big belly. Symbolic. Okay, all these things full of symbolism. And Raktavasasam, his clothing, red. So everything about him is red. Rakta Ghanu Liptangam, Rakta Gandhanu Liptangam. And this red chandan is used to put for Ganesh Baba. Rakta Gandhanu Liptangam. You rub it down with it. This is one of the reasons why when we do Ganesh Puja, we did yesterday and people should have done today, you sprinkle the sindur on him. That red color, vermilion, color him with it. That is his color. Rakta pushpam supujitam. Red flowers, if you can get it. Rakta pushpam supujitam. So, this is something, special as you worship, you can focus upon. Not that you change your orange color or whatever else. But I'm putting to you what the Atharva still says. The other colors that we talk about, they will have significance. And maybe some other night I'll tell you some of the significance of these different colors. Okay? So we are visualizing Lord Ganesh. Ekadantam chaturhastam pashankushadharanam radang cha vardang hastar vibhranam mushak dhvajam raktam lambodaram shurpa karnakam raktavasasam. That Gajanan Swami, Bhaktanukampinam Devam, Jagarkaram Achyutam. For his devotees, he is very compassionate. Very compassionate. He is Daya Sagar. Of course, all aspects of divinity are Daya Sagar. We say same thing to Sri Ram, same thing for Bhagavan Shankar. Because if you listen carefully last night, Tvam Brahma, Tvam Vishnu, Tvam Rudras, Tvam Indras, Tvam Agnis, Tvam Suryas. You might remember I'm reminding you. Tvam Chandrama, Tvam Brahm, Bhurva Swarum. Everything is Gajanan. Vishnu Bhagwan is Mahaganapati, type Brahm. Shivaji, Mahaganapati. They're all the same. Different embodiments. Alright? So, this is why they all refer to as compassionate. Bhagwan Gajanan, we are focusing upon this form, most compassionate towards his devotees, who is self-effulgent. He doesn't depend on any external form for reflection. You look at a flame, you look at a gem. Gem has its own reflection. A flame, you have to depend on some fuel to create that flame, to have reflection. It can be blown out quite easily. But this is very, very, instructive also, self-effulgent. It doesn't depend on anything, it is independent. Swatantrata, one of the characteristics of that divine, that Brahm. And Avirbhutam tasrishta yadav prakritehe purushat param. That Lord was manifest, so to speak, even before the beginning of the world. For He is the source of the world. He is the source of everything. Alright? And we speak of Prakriti and Purush. Prakriti and Purush. Purush is that Brahm identifying with the world of objects. Prakriti nature. So if you look at Vedanta, they speak a lot of Prakriti and Purush. Here, Gajanan Swami is referred to as Purushottam. Purushottam, he beyond Purush and Prakriti. For those who want to follow this kind of way, this pathway. Evang dhyayati yo nityang se yogi yoginang varaha. The best of yogis, this is the form they hold on to meditate upon. The yogi who meditates upon him in this form is the best amongst yogis. The best amongst yogis. So devotees, it's good to visualize if you can, Gajanan. And red color is quite attractive. Notice the similarity with Hanuman Baba. Do you know both of them are called Mangal Murti? And when we do puja for both, we always offer sindur also. The color red. Hanuman Baba color is red. Right? Red clothing. Same thing with Gajanan Swami. And if you look at from another perspective, Gyan, and look at Hanuman Baba, we say the mind principle. All relates to the mind. The coloring of the mind. Red, what does it symbolize? To reflect upon that, the color red. Now, sometimes, all these little points we say, they're good for intellectualization, so to speak. But when you sit down to pray, do you really think of all these things? When you sit to pray, you visualize Gajanan. You just surrender to Him. And, as I keep mentioning like a motor car, you have, in the engine, you have all the systems here. All you need to do, start your car and everything begins to work. So this is what we need to do. Switch on. Turn towards that Lord and do it conscientiously. In the sense that you don't let the mind stray all over the place and say you're praying. You have to put your mind, focus on it. Identify as a man thinketh, so he becometh. So this is what we have to do. You meditate upon that form and automatically things begin to happen inside. Automatically. And if it's not happening, it just simply means that we have not been doing what we are doing, what we are supposed to be doing in the right way. It's not Bhagwan's fault, as we say. It is our fault. Devotees, I want to visualize Gajanan in the form I've just described him. Ekadantam chaturhastam pash ankushadharanam radang cha varnam hastay vibhranam mushak bhajam raktam lambodaram shurpakarnakam rakta vasasam rakta gandhanuliptangam rakta pushpaisa pujitam. Everything about him is red. Visualize. And that beautiful, benign face. Radiance emanating from that Lord. Remember, He's very compassionate. Bhaktanu kampinam. Bhaktanu kampinam devam. Jagat karnam achyutam. This is Bhagwan. Let's join together as we go on a journey glorifying Matan. You would have performed your puja. You have listened to words of wisdom. Let's glorify. Gananatha Gajavadana Gananatha Dinabandana Siddhidata Shivatanaya Siddhipradayaka Gajanana Gananatha Gajavadana Gananatha Dinabandana गणनाथ दीनवंदना सिद्धिदाता शिवतनय सिद्धिदाता शिवतनय सिद्धिदाता शिवतनय सिद्धिदाता शिवतनय सिद्धिप्रदायक 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 गजानना पार्वती नंदन भव्य भंजन पार्वती नंदन भव्य भंजन पार्वती नंदन भव्य भंजन पार्वती नंदन भव्य युग युग बंधन जय युग युग बंधन जय श्री गणेश युग युग बंधन जय श्री गणेश युग युग बंधन जय श्री गणेश गजपदना गणनाथ सिद्धिदाता शिवतनय सिद्धिदाता शिवतनय सिद्धिदाता शिवतनय सिद्धिप्रदायक सिद्धिप्रदायक गजानना सिद्धिप्रदायक सिद्धिप्रदायक गजानना पार्वती नंदन भवभय भंजन पार्वती नंदन भवभय भंजन पार्वती नंदन भवभय भंजन पार्वती नंदन भवभय भंजन युग युग बंधन जय श्री गणेश 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 युग युग बंधन जय श्री गणेश. We have glorified Gajanan, and I would like you to visualize the Shiv Parivar, Gajanan Swami, Devi Ma, Bhagwan Shankar, Swami Kartikaya. These four represent, from a Vedantic perspective, the four qualifications that are necessary for liberation. Gajanan, as we have said, represents Gyan. Bhagwan Shankar, Vairagya. Devi Ma, Mumukshutva. Swami Kartikaya, Shat Sampat. Shiv Parivar. We need these four qualifications to be free from bondage, to go to our state of non-duality. So, we glorify Devi, go on to Shiva, Swami Kartikaya. Join me. Wherever you may be, withdraw the mind from everything otherwise and focus this brief journey, glorifying that Master. Chauthi Bhakti Mama Gungana Kare Kapatata Jigan. Pure attitude. Let's glorify Devi. Hey Durga Lakshmi Saraswati Kali Jagmata. Durga Lakshmi Saraswati Kali Jagmata. Hey Durga Lakshmi Saraswati Kali काली जगमाता एक काली जगमाता काली जगमाता एक काली जगमाता काली जगमाता जय जय दुर्गा लक्ष्मी सरस्वती काली जगमाता जय श्री दुर्गा लक्ष्मी सरस्वती काली जगमाता दुर्गा लक्ष्मी सरस्वती काली जगमाता दुर्गा लक्ष्मी सरस्वती दुर्गा लक्ष्मी सरस्वती दुर्गा लक्ष्मी सरस्वती काली जगमाता काली जगमाता काली जगमाता एक काली जगमाता काली जगमाता जय जय दुर्गा लक्ष्मी सरस्वती काली जगमाता जय श्री दुर्गा लक्ष्मी सरस्वती काली जगमाता जय जय दुर्गा लक्ष्मी सरस्वती काली जगमाता जय शिव ओंकार जय शिव ओंकार
जय शिव ओंकार हर शिव ओंकार
जय शिव ओंकार जय हर शिव ओंकार
जय शिव ओंकार जय हर शिव ओंकार
ब्रह्मा विष्णु सदा शिव
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 हर 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 महादेव
हर 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 महादेव
ओम शिव 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 महादेव
शिव 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 महादेव
ओम हर शिव शिव हर महादेव
हर शिव शिव हर महादेव
जय शिव ओंकार जय हर शिव ओंकार
जय शिव ओंकार जय जय हर शिव ओंकार
भवाय नमः हरये नमः
भवाय नमः हरये नमः
शिवाय नमः ओम नमः शिवाय
शिवाय नमः ॐ नमः शिवाय
भवाय नमः हरये नमः
भवाय नमः हरये नमः
शिवाय नमः नमः शिवाय
शिवाय नमः नमः शिवाय
शिव 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 नमः शिवाय
हर 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 नमः शिवाय
जय 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 नमः शिवाय
हर शिव शिव हर नमः शिवाय
हर शिव शिव हर नमः शिवाय
शिव हर हर शिव नमः शिवाय
शिव हर हर शिव नमः शिवाय
शिव 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 नमः शिवाय
शिव 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 नमः शिवाय
हर 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 नमः शिवाय
हर 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 नमः शिवाय
जय 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 नमः शिवाय
जय 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 नमः शिवाय
जय शिव हर शिव नमः शिवाय
जय शिव हर शिव नमः शिवाय भवाय नमः हराय नमः
शिवाय नमः नमः शिवाय
शिवाय नमः नमः शिवाय
शिवाय नमः नमः शिवाय
शिवाय नमः नमः शिवाय
नमः शिवाय
ॐ नमः शिवाय
नमः शिवाय
ॐ नमः शिवाय
सुब्रह्मण्यम सुब्रह्मण्यम सन्मुखनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यम
सुब्रह्मण्यं सुब्रह्मण्यं सन्मुखनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यं
सुब्रह्मण्यम सुब्रह्मण्यम सन्मुखनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यम
सुब्रह्मण्यं सुब्रह्मण्यं सन्मुखनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यं
सुब्रह्मण्यम सुब्रह्मण्यम शंभुनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यम
सुब्रह्मण्यं सुब्रह्मण्यं शंभुनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यं
सुब्रह्मण्यम सुब्रह्मण्यम शंभुनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यम
सुब्रह्मण्यं सुब्रह्मण्यं शंभुनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यं
शिव 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 सुब्रह्मण्यम हर 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 सुब्रह्मण्यम
सुब्रह्मण्यं हर हर सुब्रह्मण्यं
शिव 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 सुब्रह्मण्यम हर 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 सुब्रह्मण्यम
शिव 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 सुब्रह्मण्यं हर हर सुब्रह्मण्यं
सुब्रह्मण्यम 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 शंभुनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यम
सुब्रह्मण्यं सुब्रह्मण्यं शंभुनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यं
सुब्रह्मण्यम सुब्रह्मण्यम शंभुनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यम
सुब्रह्मण्यं सुब्रह्मण्यं शंभुनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यम
सुब्रह्मण्यम सुब्रह्मण्यम शंभुनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यम
शिव शिव हर हर सुब्रह्मण्यम हर हर शिव शिव सुब्रह्मण्यम
शिव शिव हर हर सुब्रह्मण्यम हर हर शिव शिव सुब्रह्मण्यम
शिव शिव हर हर सुब्रह्मण्यम हर हर शिव शिव सुब्रह्मण्यम
शिव शिव हर हर सुब्रह्मण्यम हर हर शिव शिव सुब्रह्मण्यम
सुब्रह्मण्यम सुब्रह्मण्यम शंभुनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यम
सुब्रह्मण्यम सुब्रह्मण्यम शंभुनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यम
सुब्रह्मण्यम सुब्रह्मण्यम शंभुनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यम
सुब्रह्मण्यम सुब्रह्मण्यम सन्मुखनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यम
सुब्रह्मण्यम सुब्रह्मण्यम शंभुनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यम
सुब्रह्मण्यम सुब्रह्मण्यम शंभुनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यम
शंभुनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यम
शंभुनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यम
शंभुनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यम
शंभुनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यम
शंभुनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यम
Devotees, remember as we go through life, all the practices we are carrying out aimed at inculcating certain qualities within us that will take us away from bondage, free us from bondage. You come to that state of oneness with that divine, whatever we understand it to be. Now, there are many times in life when people are distracted, pulled away, and the Pandit Umesh mentioned earlier on, we hear all kinds of things and we want to do all different kinds of things. Are we prepared to stick to the path? Do we dare to be different? In today's world, people follow the crowd blindly, and most times blind following blind. So I just want to wrap up what we are doing with a simple bhajan, which I have learned from the Shankaracharya, my father. Very meaningful, simple. It says, "O man, matalab ka is duniya mein, mana soch samajh kar chalna hai." In this world of duality, there is no scarcity of opinions, positions. Everybody trying to sell his opinion. But what you need to do, mana soch samajh kar chalna hai. Reflect deeply. Use intellect. We have, what we call the antahakaran. Manas buddhi hankar. Use it wisely. Make right choices. Dare to be different. So devotees, the sages advise us. मतलब का इस दुनिया में मन सोच समझ कर चलना है, पाप पुण्य का भेद समझ ले, पाप पुण्य का भेज समझ इस जग से निकरना है, सोच समझ कर चलना है। पाप पुण्य, sin and virtue, everything can be categorized into these two classes. तुलसी काया खेत है, मनसाब है किसान, पाप पुण्य दो बीज है, वो ये सोने निदान। The body like a field, the mind is the farmer. There are two seeds we can plant, pap or punya, sin and virtue. And these two, all opinions can be classified into one of these two. Which one do you choose? It's easy to follow the path of pap. Very difficult to follow the path of punya. But this is the path that will save us. Dare to be different. मतलब का इस दुनिया में मन समझ कर चलना। मतलब का इस दुनिया में मन समझ कर चलना। मन सोच समझ कर चलना। पाप पुण्य का भेज समझ रे, पाप पुण्य का भेज समझ रे, इस जग से निकरना है, सोच समझ कर चलना। मतलब का इस दुनिया में मन समझ कर चलना। मन सोच समझ कर चलना। नारायण है सब जगत में, सबके सहारा दे संकट में। नारायण है सब जगत में, सबके सहारा दे संकट में। पूजा कर ले सद्गुर धर ले, पूजा कर ले सद्गुर धर ले, इस जग से निकरना है, सोच समझ कर। इसी जग में सुमिरन कर ले, दीप जाप का तन मन धर ले। इसी जग में सुमिरन कर ले, दीप जाप का तन मन धर ले। मोह माया से बच कर रहना, मोह माया से बच कर रहना, फिर पछताना है, सोच समझ कर चलना। मतलब का इस दुनिया में मन समझ कर चलना। पाप पुण्य का भेद समझ रे, पाप पुण्य का भेद समझ रे, इस जग से निकरना है, सोच समझ कर चलना। मतलब का इस दुनिया में समझ कर चलना है। The words of the wise devotees. And only as we get older in life, we appreciate these words so much more. So it's simple. Dare to be different. That Lord is in this world. Trouble, pain, happiness, success, everybody is a world of duality. But that Lord is sole prop upon which we should lean. Ek sahara. Dunya mein ek sahara. One help, one prop. That Bhagwan. Turn to him. Puja kar le, Sadguru dhar le. You have your Guru. Seek the right Guru, the right guidance. Perform your worship sincerely and get out of this world of trouble, the world of duality. I don't mean to say you have to die and leave it. You can live in the world but be not of the world. Not of the world. Untainted as a lotus, extracting all its nutrients from the impurities of the riverbed, but it is a model of purity. This is you. This is what we might getting out of the world. Don't be caught up in it. Isi jagah mein tu sumiran kar le. Where else again can you perform this type of meditative processes, contemplation, this type of bhakti? Where else? Isi jagah mein tu. Deep jap, performing jap, lighting your diyas, all the actions we carry out. Tanaman dhar le. Mind, word, body, everything. Put your mind into it and do this. Moha maya. There's the illusion. Maya, the Lord's elusive potency, can contaminate all of us. In the twinkle of an eye, even the devotee could be contaminated. And you don't even realize it. Brahma is contaminated time and again, we are being told. Great sages are contaminated. Be careful. Don't take anything for granted. Constant vigilance and awareness of what can affect you. Here we are told, Muhammad se bachkar रहना. Don't get caught up in these things. Fir pachhtana hai. If you get caught up in those things, you are going to regret. Life will have no meaning. And this is why we start off with Gajanan, who will give us, as we say, the right wisdom, the right understanding to follow these principles. And devotees, I become very emotional when I remember these bhajans that my father used to sing. In those days, his melodious voice, we loved it. But we never understood what he said. But with the passing of time, when I sing that bhajan, I could see his face in front of my eyes, my mind's eyes, smiling and perhaps saying to me, you now understand a little bit different. You now understand a little bit different. Maybe Ganesh Baba is now awakening within me. I hope he awakens within you. So devotees, these sacrifices we are making, remember, there must be an objective, and a spiritual objective. Once we are developed spiritually, material things is a given. Don't get caught up. Seek spirituality and success will come. May the blessings of Gajanan Swami be showered upon all. Bole Shri Gajanan Swami ki jai. So devotees, we will conclude. And wherever you may be, those of you who did your puja before you want to do your arati, you can go ahead and do so. But we do prarthana, we glorify Gajanan as we did last night. So we conclude that simple, beautiful bhajan. Jai Ganesh, Jai Ganesh, Jai Ganesh Deva. Jai Ganesh, Jai Ganesh, Jai Ganesh Deva. Mata Jaki Parvati, Pita Mahadeva. Mata Jaki Parvati, Pita Mahadeva. Mata Jaki Parvati, Pita Mahadeva. Ladwan ke bhog lage sant jare seva. Mata Jaki Parvati, Pita Mahadeva. Ladwan ke bhog lage sant jare seva. Jai Ganesh, Jai Ganesh, Jai Ganesh Deva. Mata Jaki Parvati, Pita Mahadeva. Jai Ganesh, Jai Ganesh, Jai Ganesh Deva. Mata Jaki Parvati, एकदंत दयावंत चारी भुजाधारी माथे सिंदूर सोहे मुसकी सवारी
चारी भुजाधारी माथे सिंदूर सोहे मुसकी सवारी
जय गणेश जय गणेश अंधन को आँख देता कोढ़ीन को काया बाजन को पुत्र देता निर्धन को माया। जय गणेश हार चढ़े फूल चढ़े और चढ़े मेवा सूरदास शरण आयो सुख माता जाति पार्वती पिता महादेव हे माता जाति पार्वती पिता महादेव ओम नमो व्रातपतये ओम नमो गणपतये नमः प्रमथपतये नमस्तेषु लंबोदरा एकदंताय विघ्ननाशने शिवसुताय श्री वरदमूर्तये नमः. My salutations to Vratpati. These are different names of Gajanan. My salutations to Ganapati. My salutations to Pramathapati. My salutations to Lambodar, Ekadant, Vignanashan, Shivasuta. And salutations again and again to Varad Murti. Boli Sri Gajanan Swami ki jai. We join Punit Umesh in our closing prayer.
शिव हरे शिव राम सखे प्रभु त्रिविधता परिवारन हे विभु अज जनेश्वर यादव पाहि मां शिव हरे विजयं कुरु मे वरं शिव हरे विजयं कुरु मे वरं प्रतिदिनं कुशलं जय मङ्गलं प्रतिदिनं कुशलं जय मङ्गलम् ॐ मङ्गलं भगवान् विष्णु मङ्गलं गरुडध्वज मङ्गलं पुण्डरीकाक्ष मङ्गलाय तनो हरि मङ्गलं भगवान् विष्णु मङ्गलं गरुडध्वज मङ्गलं गरुडध्वज मङ्गलं गरुडध्वज ॐ मन्त्रहीनं क्रियाहीनं भक्तिहीनं जनार्दनं यत् पूजितं मया देवा परिपूर्णं तदस्तु ॐ अस्तो मा सत्कमया ॐ तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय ॐ मृत्युर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव ॐ शान्ति 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 हरि ओम। हर हर महादेव, हर हर महादेव, हर हर महादेव। बोले श्री गजानन स्वामी की जय, आदिशक्ति दुर्गा माता की जय, उमापति महादेव की जय। बोले श्री सत्य सनातन धर्म की जय, बोले श्री स्वाहा माता की जय।
Devotees, we say blessings to all of you for having joined us. And let me invite you to join us again tomorrow. 6 o'clock, we begin till 6:30, continue the same format that we have. And then remember from next week, Friday and Saturday next week, same format from 6 to 7:30. And next week, Sunday morning, normal, as we say, Sunday morning service time from 8 to 9:30, we'll do our Visarjan. So bear this in mind. From Monday to Friday, you're on your own. You can join anybody else you want or do your own devotions. But what I want to advise is keep up your devotions with Gajanan. We need it. But we look forward to joining you. You joining us tomorrow as our devotions continue. Blessings to all.